I read this small ebook called The Science of Manifestation by Richard Aubin. He also has a website called merlinworld.com. And in this book, he was explaining something called NAPS. It's an acronym for Night Audio Programs. And it's a perfect method to help anybody program your subconscious mind to get yourself to believe in something that you just can't believe in. There's a way to get yourself to believe that you can do it, and it's called Night Audio Programs. And the reason why it works is because this program, this process, bypasses something called the doorman. Richard Aubin said in his book that our brains have 4 different speeds. 2 while we're awake and 2 while we're asleep. And in between those 4 different speeds, there's something called the doorman. Our conscious mind, and he said that in hypnosis it's called the critical factor. Our conscious mind decides whether or not something we hear or something we think is going to be true or not, if it makes logical sense for us or not. However, that doorman goes to bed while we go to bed, while our conscious mind is asleep, while our brain waves are going from the beta to alpha down to the theta and delta waves. Once we reach all the way down to the delta waves while in the middle of sleeping, he said that that's when we can program our subconscious mind, because the doorman is not awake to stop those beliefs from entering the subconscious mind so we can believe them. So he said that in order for you to bypass the doorman, in order to program your subconscious mind, believe in those certain affirmations or thoughts or things that you want to manifest in your life, he said to program your voice and say a certain affirmation, a short affirmation, like 10 or so words, and record it in an audio format, an MP3. And you can download any app. Most likely you already have an app on your phone where you can record your voice. And there's usually a feature on there where you can just put it on a loop, and it just replays that affirmation over and over and over again. And you play that while you're asleep at night. When you go to bed and you're ready to fall asleep and you notice that your brain waves are going from the beta to the alpha down to the theta, and right before you fall asleep, you play that audio format of your affirmation. And he used the affirmation, you now have a, what did he say? The affirmation he used was, you now make $500 a week with your new business. That's the affirmation he said in his audio format, and he listened to that while he went to bed. And he ended up making more than that in his business. I think he made double that in his business, he said in his book. But the affirmation can be anything that you want to manifest, especially something that you feel like is unbelievable, or something that you really want to manifest as soon as possible. Say like you're really unhappy with the current job you have and you really want to change your career or your job. You really need to make a change as soon as possible. Maybe you can use the affirmation he used, that you now make a certain amount of money with your new job. And so when you play this while you're asleep, and you hear it while you're asleep, it bypasses the doorman and you program your subconscious mind. And when you wake up, let me tell you, I've been applying this myself. I feel different. I have a different feeling in my vibrational frequency. When I'm awake after hearing that overnight, and I hear that affirmation again as I'm awake, or I think of that affirmation, I have a different sense of feeling. It's more believable to me. I feel, I guess you can say, happy, enthusiastic, a huge sense of relief. That's what I feel. I feel a huge sense of relief. So I notice this process is very effective, especially for those things that you want to manifest as soon as possible, or things that you want to manifest that seem just so unbelievable, but yet you still want to manifest it. Try this program. It's called NAPS, N-A-P, Night Audio Programs. You just simply word your affirmation within 10 to 12, around there, 10 words or less, around there. And another thing, if you're wondering how to say your affirmation, I am this, I am that, in his book, he worded it as you now make a certain amount of money in your new business. And I like saying it that way because it is your own voice and you are speaking to yourself, so you might as well just say you. It feels right for me to say you are now, and then you say your affirmation. And you simply play it while you're asleep and put it in a loop so it plays over and over and over again. And one thing I do suggest is that as you're falling asleep, try not to focus too much on listening to the affirmations. Just let it play in the background as you fall asleep. And notice how different you feel. Notice how different you feel in the morning when you listen to that affirmation, when you think of whatever it is that you want to manifest in your life that seems so impossible or unbelievable. Notice how different you feel after you try this technique. And it's super simple and super effective to apply. And it really does have a way of making you feel different in your vibrational frequency. And that's what it's about. Any kind of law of attraction technique, you got to align with whatever it is that you want to manifest in your life. You got to align with it. So you are aligned by being sensitive to how you feel within your body. And when I apply this technique, I definitely felt different.